Is there any additions to the agenda? Administration?
Good morning, Reeve and Council. One addition through Councillor Gunderson. As Council knows, we're talking about a couple of our property leases in closed session today. Councillor Gunderson would like to add to that as well, 32F Willie West lease, and that as well would be ATIA sections 19 and 29. That's all administration has, Reeve.
Okay. Councillors? Okay, then we'll just make a motion to approve the agenda with the one amendment. Shane?
I move to approve the agenda with the amendments.
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay. All right, we've got the minutes of council meeting, April 7th. Any errors or omissions? Any comments? Shane, your light's still on? You can leave it on.
I'm just going to keep working. Am I approving the minutes? May I go?
Yeah.
I move to adopt the minutes of the council meeting from April 7th, 2026, regular council meeting.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Follow-up action list?
A couple of items, Reeve. We will be speaking to Council today regarding the request for funding regarding the Warburg Arena. Community Services will bring that forward. And as well, referring again to closed session, we do have that legal interpretation regarding our agreements that we will be discussing in closed.
Motion to receive the follow-up action list as presented. Carol?
I move to receive the follow-up action list as presented.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Rudy, you're up next with the getting rid of another bylaw.
Yes, thank you, Reeve. We have one more coming forward today for Council's consideration. It's a bylaw that's absolutely, or is actually obsolete. So bylaw 1224-26, request for council decision regarding repealing or removing that bylaw. That's on pages 18 and 22, by the way. 18 through 22.
So is your goal to make the bylaws as skinny as this report here today?
As pertinent as this agenda is today.
Okay, so we need a motion to repeal the bylaw. Glenn?
I move to give first reading to bylaw 1244-26 to repeal obsolete Community Tourism Action Committee bylaw 174-92.
Discussion? All those in favor? Anybody want to give second reading? Kara?
I move second reading to repeal bylaw 174-92.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. We'll need a motion to go to third reading if you wish. Dallas?
I'll move that Brazeau County Council go to third reading, bylaw 1244-26.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. And finally, anybody want to give third reading? Oh, sorry. Carol?
I move to give third reading to bylaw 1244-26 to repeal the obsolete Community Tourism Action Committee bylaw 174-92.
Discussion? All those in favor? Just think of the ink we'll be saving. All right, we've got an appointment, but that's at 10 o'clock. Planning and Development. Whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, Reeve and Council. Rezoning application 26A-004, which is located on pages 23 through 36 of the agenda package, has been submitted to rezone approximately 11.1 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within Northwest 29488 west of the 5th Meridian, which would allow for the subdivision of an equally sized parcel. A public hearing for this bylaw has been scheduled for May 19th at 10:15 a.m. These subject lands are located north of Township Road 484 and immediately east of Range Road 85, from which all parcels will have access. That can be seen on the land location map on page 25. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the county's municipal development plan, and the lands do not fall within any intermunicipal development plan or area structure plan. And this is reflected in appendices E and F on pages 31 through 36. It is the recommendation today that first reading be given to bylaw 1241-26 for the rezoning of approximately 11.1 acres from agricultural to agricultural holdings within Northwest 2948-8, west of the 5th Meridian. Thank you.
You make a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
I move the council give first reading to bylaw 1241-26, proposing Northwest 2948-8 west of the 5th Meridian be rezoned from agricultural to agricultural holdings as shown on the attached Schedule A.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous.
Morning, Council. Evening,
Morning,
Council.
Lee.
So page 37. So you recall last council, administration received a request, a funding request for the Warburg Arena for their failed refrigeration slab, 1.4 million. So the motion was to defer the funding request for emergency renovations of the refrigeration slab at the Warburg Arena till April 21st. Subject to funding information. So based on that 1.4 million, Leduc County has committed 890,000 and the village of Warburg has committed 312, and that's as per their recreation cost sharing agreement. So they do, you know, as neighboring communities, they have ICSs, so they're required to enter into something, so that's what they've done. But that still leaves them short 200,000. Yeah, typically the arena at large, they usually make plans for this, but this come unexpectedly. We reached out to them about grants, but they just said, I mean, it's a process. It probably takes 3 to 6 months, so they're not able to take advantage of that. They need to do it now. It's not uncommon for residents to seek recreation outside of their community. There's no legal obligation for county to extend the funding. And as mentioned before, the county does have a pending project coming up with the Drayton Valley Arena there, the Team Auction Center, which is going to be over $2 million to replace their plant. So,
Questions? What's your thoughts there, councilors? Didn't we give them about 60,000 back about 10 years ago?
I did, the Warburg had a request for their rink, and I checked on that. We had a motion to do that, but it ended up they had enough money, and then we never had to provide the funding, but there was a motion to give funding. I think we had an individual come from the minor hockey to make the request for improvements for their boards.
So there's movement both ways. You know, some of our people use other recreation, some of their people use some of our recreation services. So I don't know if we want to start mixing too much money-wise, just because it's you start mixing spit and even though it's always a nice gesture to give out money everywhere, I'll stop talking. Kara.
Thank you. I did do some more digging. Kids that are on the east side of our community do have to go to this arena. They can, so I'm thinking minor hockey. They can play in Drayton, but it's quite a process. So when they're supposed to play in Warburg, they technically could play in Drayton. But they actually have to apply and go through an application process with Alberta Minor Hockey to be in order to come here to play, hence why. So there's not really boundaries, but there are. So they encourage them to stay closer to their communities. Hockey and those type of activities don't see municipal boundaries as their boundaries. So we do have quite a few of our kids from the eastern part of our county using this facility.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that people move back and forth. Northern boundaries from Parkland County come to Drayton Valley as well. Drayton Valley goes to Parkland.
Well, I'll give you another example right now, because there's only one sheet of ice in the Drayton Arena, and it's gonna be coming out at the end of the month. The majority of our kids right now are playing in Evansburg.
In where?
Evansburg has left their ice until the end of June, and they're actually working out a deal with the association and the hockey players in this area to keep the ice in all year. Because A, they can't afford Drayton, and B, they won't keep the ice in. So we will actually be, you've got a large amount of kids from this community actually going to Evansburg right now, 5 days a week.
Go ahead, Carol.
Just a couple questions. We had some numbers that there was about 17 people from Brazeau County that were going to Thorsby, Kelmore, Warburg, because they formed a coalition because they couldn't make teams. So yes, we have players coming from Brazeau County to play in Warburg, but that is also a plus for them so that they can make teams up because they were short. So I'm just curious if some of those Brazeau County residents are actually playing in Thorsby and Kelmore as well. And my other question is, because we are just one big community, and I understand when we say we can't mix and match, but we do have people from Evansburg that play in Drayton Valley. We have a swimming pool in Entwistle that people from Drayton Valley utilize as well. And my concern is when we start to muddy those lines in between those jurisdictions, that we're going to set a precedent, and that's concerning to me. We have those intermunicipal agreements in place to guide us through those pieces, and it's unfortunate. Is there any other options with Warburg that we can do that's outside of just giving them money? Is there any other way we can help them out without actually just giving them cash? Can we loan them money? Is there anything we can do that can assist that? I don't know. That's just my question.
This is going to be requested from the Warburg Chief as well. They've asked me a couple of different times.
I don't have an issue supporting initiatives like this. I just don't know about to the tune of 200,000. I believe we do have certain reserves and accounts set aside. So maybe Colin, if you could just speak to the finance part. We do have a reserve, I believe, for recreation.
So through the chair to Council Westland, so we do have a recreation facilities reserve. The reserve, when set up, was for county-owned facilities. Council can motion as they wish, obviously there, but there is a recreation one, and then we have major facility capital investments and a couple other reserves there. But yeah, the recreation one mentioned, that one, it was outlined by council for the funds to be used on municipal-owned assets.
Okay. And how much is in those reserves right now?
Off the top of my head, I had just a major facility one has approximately $1.9 million in it. And the recreation one, I'm not too sure off the top of my head.
Thank you.
So the issue is whether or not they're going to fund it or give them something, where the money comes from. Just a process. The first thing we need to decide, do you want to give them the money? And if so, how much? Carol?
Just one other question, if I could just confirm, what was the requisition amount, or have we received the requisition amount from the town of Drayton Valley in regards to the ice plant replacement there?
Not yet, because they're making the application for the grant. I mean, it's $2 million for the total replacement, but I think at minimum, we'd be looking at $1 million shared with Drayton Valley, so 500,000 would be most optimistic.
The rest will come from the grant.
Yeah.
If I may just ask one more question?
Yeah.
in regards to the request from Warburg, there was no grant funding applied for because of the timing of this,
Yeah, we reached out to them, and they just said, because they've got to do it right away, the turnaround, they won't be able to. And grants are never retroactive, so you can't do it afterwards.
I would say that I am in favor of giving them something. We have 17 kids that are using this facility that live in Brazeau County. And I know a lot of the times we talk about the two sides of the rivers and it not being equal. So this kind of plays into that a little bit, in my opinion. And yeah, like Kara said, maybe not to the tune of 200,000, but I would be in favor of giving them something to help them out, just in good faith and being good neighbors. And, you know, they requested money from us before and they didn't end up using it, which I think speaks volumes on their behalf. So that's my stance on it.
Would you subsidize it? You know, I'm just throwing that out to get a rationale. Would you give them $2,000 per person using it? Did you give them $1,000 per person? Kara?
I would maybe not focus so much on the number right now, because that would fluctuate every year, depending on what's going on in the community. But I would be prepared to make a motion. I move that Brazeau County gives up to $20,000 from is it the capital? Major Facility Capital Fund? Okay, thank you.
And the number was, sir, I couldn't quite hear you there, Kara.
20,000.
20,000? Dallas?
Yes.
Yes, dear council, I think that we need to remain principled in our decision-making, and we have municipal boundaries for a reason. The taxation generation in Brazeau County is for the greater good of Brazeau County. It doesn't spill over into other municipalities. It's just kind of an unfortunate situation, but we need to remain in our lane as much as we possibly can. We have to take down a community hall, which is used for a lot of recreation community in Rocky Rapids. That's going to cost us a great deal of money. If we spend $20,000 in Leduc County, can we ask them for the $20,000 back to offset the costs on our ice plant, Drayton Valley? We have our own rabbits, guys. We can't be getting out of our lane like this.
It's always easier to spend somebody else's money. Any other thoughts? Glenn?
Yeah, I wasn't in favor of the 200,000 for sure. And the $20,000, that's a lot of money. It works out to about 1 day for us to attend RMA. So, yeah, like I said, it's not a lot of money for what the benefit of having that ice rink there would be. So I would say that'd be a great thing to have. $20,000 isn't that much money for it, and I think they're already starting to work on that. I've seen photos on Facebook where they've dug it up and they're already working to get that thing fixed up. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with this because, like Councillor Westerlin said, those boundaries that Alberta hockey works off of aren't the same boundaries that we work off of. Those kids don't really have a choice. If they live in Brazeau County, they have to go to the Warburg rink to play. A lot of them do. You can make that submission, but it's not easy to get kids moved around in those sports teams like that. So I'm fine with it.
Any other thoughts? Okay, there's a motion on the floor to give them $20,000. All those in favor? Those opposed? So that it's carried. You can make council motions anytime you want. We'll ask for All right.
Good morning, Council. On page 41 of your agenda, you'll find a request for council decision and the presentation of bylaw 1243-26, known as a residential property tax incentive. The recommended action is that council give all required readings to bylaw 1243-26, the residential property tax incentive. In order to offer the residential tax incentive in keeping with the requirements of Municipal Government Act, administration has prepared this bylaw to set out the 20% tax incentive on the municipal portion of residential property taxes for 2026. This formalizes the process Brazeau County has undertaken for residential property owners as discussed during the final budget. The bylaw can be found on page 43 to 44 of your agenda.
Questions, councilors? Go ahead, Shane.
If there's nothing, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
I move that council give first reading to bylaw 1243-26, residential property tax incentive.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Anybody wish to give second reading? Carol?
I move to give second reading to bylaw 1243-26, residential property tax incentive.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Somebody want to make it to go to third reading? Dallas?
I like to go to. Yeah, so I'll move Brazeau County go to third reading, bylaw 1243-26.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. And just as a reminder, it has to be unanimous to go to third reading, right? Otherwise, you gotta wait till next council meeting. Okay, and finally, third reading?
Over here, Bart.
Okay, go ahead, Glenn.
I move to give third reading to bylaw 1243-26, residential property tax incentive.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Okay, Public Works, Moose Hill Bridge.
Thank you, Reeve. I'd shared some email communications with council on a couple of items. We had discussed, based on the last council meeting, a conversation with WSP Engineering to change the scope. They are amenable to that, and they're working on that. We probably won't get that report till next council meeting. As well, we were hopeful, the province had done its own bridge inspection. We were hoping to get that report yesterday. That report has not yet been received, so we have no update there. And based on the last council meeting, we had a request through Mr. Ornberg to his firm to provide a letter regarding the bridge, and we've not yet received that. So nothing to update council, and that's why we had indicated in the agenda pack that the report would be to be provided, because we knew that we wouldn't get it in time for council meeting today. In fact, we've not yet received it, so it's up to council, but we have no new information at this time.
Okay, well, we'll just have to wait till we get information if we get it. All right, general matters, nothing, correspondence, municipal affairs. We're gonna be done here in a half an hour? All right, so, municipal affairs, pages 45 to 47. Somebody decode this for me?
Are you,
Kara?
are you trying to decode the municipal affairs minister?
Yeah.
Good luck. RMA is having a webinar on Bill 28, as I'm looking it up right now, on April 29th. You get to spend an hour and a half with yours truly. Yes, it's during Risk Pro, but it's over lunch. an hour and a half, and we will be walking through the changes, the risks, I guess, the pros and the cons of what's in Bill 28, Bill 28, during that time. Yeah, we'll be at Risk Pro, but it'll be during lunch.
I'm there? You're there. Okay. Well, it just on my computer, it's not there, so. Okay. I'll relook again, or just resend it. Carrie, you got your light on?
Yeah, I'm just making, if you do want to attend the webinar, I would suspect you will have to register yourself so that you can get the link. And I have it here, so I will forward it to Tina. I will forward it to you individually so that you can register yourself, so that you get the link sent to yourself.
Send it to Tina as well.
I'll send it to Tina, but you will have to register yourself in order to get the link. Because they'll send it to your email address. I'm not sure if these ones are coded that it has to be to the email address. I'll send it to everybody though.
A couple of general comments, if I may, Reeve, around this. I've been peripherally involved in the asset review process through the Local Government Administrators Association. I think in general terms what they're trying to do is, if you take, for example, that they have somewhat of a formula for residential property tax, and they apply that formula, and every so many years they will go out and physically inspect properties that may have changed or have development permits. They're trying to broaden and automate that so that the assessment review process is a little bit more, they call it automated, but I think getting less people out in the field and relying more on the data that they have and doing more random audits. So that's kind of the general function that they're working on under assessment and property tax. Government and accountability, you will recall that they removed the requirement for individual municipalities to have a code of ethics. They're trying to get a general provincial council framework in place that they will monitor. They're working on that. And that will be a provincial umbrella code of ethics, if you will, that will replace the individual ones that were required. And they will be policing and monitoring that. I did make the request of Municipal Affairs that in this case, would they be paying for the investigations? And they were quite willing to say no, they're still not going to pay for the investigations. The individual counties have to pay for that. So I thought their system, their rules, their money. Unfortunately, their system, their rules, our money. So municipal transparency, the CAO's salary has always been public in municipalities. They're broadening that a little bit to a lower threshold of wages being out there. And one of the other things, I don't see it overall in the letter, but they've wrapped in a little bit more clarification around natural person powers. So the CAO has a certain amount of natural person powers, but now through this new legislation, I'm required to notify council within an appropriate point of time when I've exercised those powers. So it's just a notification process that wasn't there before to make sure that council's aware when those powers have been exercised administratively. I think those are the kind of if you skip the rock across the water, that's kind of the highlights of what they're working on here. The assessment model review is an onerous process. It's been started a number of years ago, and they've announced some changes here in Bill 28, but they don't think that this will be finalized for another 2 years. So it's a real deep dive on that process.
We're right into the water here, aren't we? He's skipping across the top and deep dives.
I thought you might appreciate those, Reeve.
Yes.
Bart, may I?
Go ahead, Kara.
I can build a little bit too on Rudy's comments on the accountability piece as well. I think it's worth mentioning that only councillors can file against other councillors. But that being said, we did ask the question, if a resident comes to a councillor, you can file on behalf of a resident, but residents can't go and file against councillors. It's only going to be elected officials that are able to do that. The assessment model, I guess we got time, but I could spend all day talking
Yeah.
about that process. RMA did release a member guide. I think I seen Councillor Volk with it on her desk this morning. She must need some sleepy time reading. The assessment model review is always interesting. I've been on council for 16 years. I think this is the third time that they've tried to do this. The last time is probably the one that I remember the most because I was actually VP of RMA. But Bart, you'd recall when we did the town halls, they were looking, remember when RMA kind of asked our members to all rally the troops and hold town halls within your community and let your residents know? Because they were looking at standardizing and changing linear assessment and basically giving a portion of our linear assessment to the urbans that, just because, if you remember that time, I believe we sat in the shop, Bart, and we did that. And we had it full in there. Anyways, we put a stop to it. So
Yeah.
this is just the whole process reincarnated. It's been interesting. It's been ongoing for 2 years. They took almost a 8-month pause on it because they were trying to do a consensus-based model, and clearly it didn't work because it took them 8 months. For the province had to step in and make some decisions. There is some very, very wide gaps between what municipalities' needs are with their communities and what industry thinks that they basically own everything and they could do whatever they want. It's been interesting to say the least, so stay tuned. But it is, I agree with Rudy's comment, it is actually incredibly complex once you start diving into it. Very, very complex formulas. We have actually, between the staff at RMA, we've actually even had to bring in technical experts. We do have consultants. I believe we've got 3 technical consultants, experts in their fields, helping us through this process because that is how complicated and complex this is. It's also incredibly important, and what we have to realize is when we turn one lever off here, there's a knock-on effect, and that's what I think a lot of people don't realize is when you do one little thing over here, it's those unintended consequences to, about 3 other things further down the line. That's why it's incredibly complicated and it's all intertwined. And yes, a cookie-cutter approach to this does not work.
No, and from a planning point of view, we've been pushing planning for a long, long time. You change the rules midstream and that affects everything. All right, let's carry on. We've got.
We've got a seniors correspondence too. 13C.
She's got to make a motion to go to reports then, because we're still on item 13C. You want to go to 14 then, is what you're saying? Make a motion to go to 14 if you want to do yours first.
I move to go to item number 14 on our list, on our agenda, and defer 13C until Brazeau Foundation reports, if I could, please.
Do you want, I can do MPC, I have it in front of me. I'll go back to March 10th. We refused an application in the Lindale area, and it has been appealed. I believe that appeal, my board members, I believe the appeal is this month. So thank you, April 27th. There was a Quonset with side yard setback variance that was approved. It was already existing. A proposed new telecommunications tower and accessory structure was tabled from the March meeting to the April meeting that we just had, and it's been tabled once again to July 14th to just allow some public input. As cited accessory structure that was approved. There was 3 subdivision approvals that were also made on March 10th, and then we had a meeting April 14th where we approved another subdivision. We approved natural extraction, so gravel pit, and then we also approved another subdivision. So things are moving, things are busy, good to see.
Question? Yeah, so if I could just, Reeve, if I could just ask Councillor Westerland, was the appeal LPRT or was that Brazeau County Appeals Board?
It is going to the subdivision appeal board. Maybe through the chair to administration, I'm not sure who from council is sitting on that.
Hey,
Okay.
shut that off.
Aria will be representing council, and then if you remember correctly, we have one counselor, and I think there's a couple we can choose from, and then it is there'll be, how many at-large members sitting there?
2 for sure.
No, I think there's. We're just, unbiased is fine, it's process. How many are sitting there? Four altogether, there we go, with Aria.
Okay, very good.
So, we're not asking, but we're not discussing, I think everybody's aware, we don't discuss what's actually being appealed, but we can talk about the process. So, we haven't done one for quite a while, so. Yeah.
Thank you. So for the West Central Airshed Society, there wasn't a meeting, but they reached out by email at their next AGM. They asked if I would remain on the board of directors. I said, sure. They said it's a term of 3 years, so hopefully the next time we go into selecting that you guys let me in that. I said I would do it. They had a little letter of condolences on the webpage for the founding member, Cliff Whitelock, which was very nice. They also reached out and said that they were going to offer to install a cloud light in the county office here. So I've kind of put them in with our CEO to talk about it, but it won't cost anything. And the cloud light it turns colors depending on what the air quality is at the time, right? It's real time, and it would be kind of neat to see. I'll skip on, I guess, to the Recreation Board. We had the discussion around the Polar Energy Grant application for the Team Auction Centralized Plant. They're looking to stack the Federal Green Municipal Funds Grant with the $1.5 million Provincial Active Communities Initiative. They're in the grant writing process now, as we already know. I guess I've talked to some people on council on that note. There was a letter directed to the town of Drayton Valley, sent by the Drayton Valley Community Foundation, who's also going after the same Provincial Active Communities Grant for the Sports Dome project. The two will probably end up colliding if they do go at the same time, and it's unlikely we would get it for the ice plant. So that's kind of where it's going. The mayor did send a reply asking the Drayton Valley Community Foundations to postpone the application until we get this ice plant dealt with. There were some discussions around the town of Drayton Valley to take over operations of the Drayton Valley RV Park and Campground next to the museum. The operator just hasn't been doing a good job, and it's lowered their ratings on the websites. It's been run year-round to make it worse, so there's been lots of freeze-ups. And every time there's a freeze-up, they'll send out a hydrovac to go steam it. And it costs $700 to do that, right? So they're not making any money by going year-round with that. So the staff will be doing the bookings and maintenance rather than contracting it out. The ice in the curling rink has been pulled out to accommodate the Drayton Valley Minor Ball, which was really nice. They were looking for some place to do practice, and it worked out really well for them this year. And it brings in extra revenue. We had a tour of the facility, and we learned that the very last remaining squash court, it's the racquetball squash court in the Team Auction Center, will be closing as well. The floor is going to be covered up to protect it with a rubber mat. Glass will be coated for privacy, and electrical outlets will be installed, and the space will be used for physiotherapy. So there's already somebody in town coming in from the city to do physiotherapy, and apparently we lost the fellow that was doing it at the hospital. So this guy's going to open up, and it'll give a little extra revenue for the rec center. The board was given a really good tour by Heather Pullard, and it was explained how the advertising in that arena, both arenas, right, the seats, score clocks, glass borders, banners, and it all goes to the Thunder, so none of that money that is collected does actually end up going into the arena. The glass around the rink is going to be replaced with plexiglass this year, and the netting at the midway points removed to allow an unimpeded sight line. So right now, there's a net that's kind of protecting the public from errant pucks. That's going to be pulled down, so we'll see how that works out. Outside of the NBA court or the NBA facility, they're going to utilize corporate sponsorship to make improvements. The manager is reaching out for sponsorship to replace the hockey coaches' boards in the change rooms. So the change rooms aren't part of the Thunder, so we can go looking for money for those sorts of things. We're told that the original rink in the Pembina Pipeline Arena has some of the best ice in Alberta to skate on due to its energy-efficient design. There is, however, a small leak somewhere in that pad. They are losing brine, a tote of brine, so that'd be about 1,000 liters of brine goes into the ground every year. And so they have to keep topping that up to maintain those levels. I guess in the future, when they dig that up, they'll have to address all of that. January 11th to the 17th in 2027, the Curling Alberta Men's and Women's Provincial Championship will be held in the Nelson Brothers Arena. It'll put a massive amount of stress on that ice plant because they have to actually add about 2 inches of ice to the existing ice surface. Plus, with all the crowd in there, it'll be warm. So, but it's a prestigious event that will feature Alberta's top curlers and be televised by Sportsnet. There'll be a call out to councillors or volunteers to assist with timing of the teams. The next Recreation Board meeting will be held April 27th, 1 p.m. at the Ricochet Aquatic Center.
Bart, I have questions. Thank you. I got actually a few questions, but I'm going to go back to your comment about the Dome and the Community Foundation applying for a grant for it. So I'm really confused. So does that mean they're going to operate it? Because, and where's it going and who's building it? Because it's my understanding that that type of grant has to be applied through and been operated by a nonprofit. So does this mean they're going to take this project over and own it and they're doing all the fundraising? I'm very confused. And has the county been notified?
No, the county hasn't been notified. The Drayton Valley Community Foundation will apply for the $1.5 million grant. They probably will certainly get it over us for the Bubble Dome, the Sports Dome. The foundation itself, they're almost done paying for the pool. They've been contributing money, and that payment's almost done. So they would take that payment and put it towards the dome. There's also a potential that one of the bigger companies in Drayton Valley will be putting towards $1 million towards the Sports Dome as well. And there's a potential that on top of that $1.5 million grant, that there's another $500,000 that would flow in from the same grant the next year. So they will be coming to the town, they will be coming to the county. There'll be immense pressure on us to approve this when that happens. I'm just letting council know that it's coming. There's not much we can put the brakes on, but it's definitely coming.
So I go back to my comment, who is going to build it and who is going to operate it?
It'll ultimately, they really are going to be tying it to the town's pool. So we will be operating it, we will be building it on town property.
So at what point are we at the table? Because we all know the part of doing things like these type of projects is, it's the cheap part's building them. It's gonna be maintaining and staffing these things that are has the town approved this? Like it's.
The town and the county haven't approved it.
Yeah.
I'm just
I was
saying,
like,
if it gets rammed through, then our feet get held to the fire. Then that's when we can decide whether we do it or not. So yeah, it's an interesting position to be put into, but.
Yeah, interesting, to say the least. And to be successful in a grant and not having your ducks in a row. I've been on council for 16 years. When we built a new pool, it took us almost a decade to get organized, to make sure it was done properly, to make sure that we did the proper planning for something like this. Because the other piece to all of this is now, it's been mentioned, it's gonna go to the pool. You're now taking out, I don't even know if the town's got the rights, because the rodeo grounds are there. And part of when, originally, again, because we don't have any clear plans, we don't see the blueprints, we don't know what's going on, are they taking out the rodeo grounds and the rugby and the football field that's right there, that are both heavily utilized by the community? And I believe the Egg Society is putting life back into the rodeo ground there. Like, does anybody else see what is going on? Sorry, Glenn, I'm not trying
No,
to.
it's not the rec board that is pushing this.
Yeah,
We were
it-
just informed that this is what is going to take place. This is probably how it's going to play out.
Yeah,
So-
is there an opportunity, Lee's not in the room?
What we could do is potentially have at the next joint town and county meeting, invite the Drayton Valley Community Foundation.
have a conversation.
Just have that conversation, and maybe that'd be a great motion to come out of this conversation, is to include them in as a.
Absolutely.
Sure.
We need to be talking that, like, we can't just snap our fingers and make these things happen. Like, there has to be planning and community buy-in, because the next piece is, do we not have a recreation master plan going on right now too as well? And what's gonna come out of that and the price tags that are attached to that? Like, there's some planning that needs to be, I think some conversations need to be had. Not that I'm against anything, it's just, we gotta make sure we're planning and we know what we're taking on. Like, it's, yeah. So, because my next thing is, what are they doing for the rodeo and what's going on there? And then, just so you know, there's a rugby field and a soccer field that's heavily, football field that's heavily utilized right there. Where are those people going? And the other piece is, I did talk to somebody, because I had heard some rumors, I did talk to somebody that's a board member to the foundation, to the community foundation. This hadn't even been put to the board. There's not even a motion from the actual board to support this. So I'm very confused.
I'm with Kara, I'm very confused over this. My other question is, so the grant funding, the grant application that the Community Foundation is putting forward is going to be in direct conflict with the grant application that we were putting forward for the ice plant replacement at the arena. Is that
I
correct?
guess, well, we were never intending to go for that Alberta grant. Originally, when we were presented from Heather Puller and Barry Yakimchuk, they had said that they were just going for the federal grant, right? There was no intentions to stack the grant. That changed at the last rec board meeting. We got caught off guard with that information as well. So that's something that the town kind of switched before anyone really knew. But yeah, we were informed that they were going after that provincial grant as well. So it's kind of just it's a really quite a situation that's going on. But ultimately, like I said, the ice plant definitely comes first. And without that, we would risk losing ice in the curling rinks and both arenas, right? And that would be absolutely the worst case scenario. We did have a chance to walk through those ice plants. They are as antiquated as what I was thinking that they would be. Those machines were just running as hard as they could to try to keep up with that ice, and so they do need to be changed out.
Thank you. So I have heard a little bit about this, and I did encourage the DV Community Foundation to set up a meeting with us to have further discussions, because I think there's a lot of logistical issues that need to be addressed. So I would like to make a motion. I move to direct administration to reach out to the DV Community Foundation to set up a meeting to further discuss. Perfect, that would be wonderful. Okay, I take back my motion.
The group just doesn't accept it, it's all good. Just don't accept the motion, you're good. if we're done talking about that part, I do have some other questions, actually. And we seem to have time, so I'm full of questions. I do have a question. With the ice plant, once it's changed out, has there been discussion, and we get a new ice plant in, to leaving at least a sheet of ice in year-round?
It's possible, because this ice plant's supposed to be quite a bit cheaper to run.
And more
And maybe in that Pembina arena, because it is so well insulated, that maybe that would be the potential would be to leave that one piece of ice open.
Okay, and I know I spoke to it earlier, but there is a very large contingent of kids and parents and community leaving the community right now because they're going to Evansburg to use their ice, and I don't, my brain is thinking, if Evansburg can leave out ice in year round, why can't we? Which is, I mean, Evansburg it's a smaller arena. Well, the arena is the same size, but just the whole building structure is different. And they can make it, and they're doing fine. It's sad that we have to leave the community of this size, of this success, to go to somewhere else to use ice. And I know for a fact that the ice in Evansburg is used 7 days a week by Drayton Valley. Not Drayton Valley, from people from this communities.
I'll take notes, and I'll take that to the next rec board meeting,
Okay.
that would be a piece of interest.
Okay, because the other piece too, and I'm not sure if you're aware, the school is now running a school program for hockey and for ice, and they're running it, they can only run it for so long because the ice is only in for so long, so there's another, yeah, and I think, I would encourage, and I would suspect the staff at the Omniplex would know. I don't think you need to leave both sets of ices in, but at least leave one set in. You'd be amazed. And then the summer camps and all that stuff that go. So.
Benefits of things like combined heat and power, and things like that. A lot of times engineering just stays with what they've always done. And whereas combined heat and power is really a technology that you take the heat off the engine for heating one part of the building, and then it's driving an electrical generator to supply the electricity. So it makes it a lot more efficient. And we had a presentation by one group here, I don't know when that was, about 2 months ago.
Reeve, yeah, the Alberta Free Energy had that, but for this green GMF grant from the federal government, that was the whole idea. The heat coming off of the ice plant, off of the condenser, it's hot air, so it can be used to heat the Mackenzie Center and the curling, all those indoor areas. So that's the idea, is to combine that new plant, rather than just letting all that heat go up into the atmosphere. It will capture it to reduce the heating bill.
Yeah, so that's one part, you can get some heat, but you can also get the heat off the producing the power, right, to drive it. So you produce your own power, and then you take the heat off the engine too, just like you're talking the heat off the compressor. Anyway, it was just a thought out there, when they're looking at designing these things, that they're looking at the combined, investment as far as, the environmental benefits of doing something like that, not to mention the monetary benefits. All right. I forgot where we started at. Oh, yes, it is 10 o'clock here. Are these guys doing the presentation online, the Matrix group? Okay. You're just like the farmers are getting a handout there, Glenn. we just waiting for somebody to start talking? I'm sorry, Tina. We're ready. Hello out there.
Mr. Dirks, whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Oh,
Yeah, we can help you with the steering here. So you're on the speaker here now.
Okay, am I loud enough that everybody can hear me?
Loud, too loud? Good.
Okay, well, good morning. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. So hopefully I'm going to be talking about the same screen as you're looking at. It should be a welcome page there with my name on it. My name's Phil Dirks. I'm a partner with Metrics Group, Chartered Professional Accountants in Edmonton, and I'm glad to be with you to talk about the audit and a little bit about the financials. I just wanted to say that the audit went very well again this year, so we got the full cooperation of everybody at the county office in getting us information and answering questions and so on. So just wanted to thank Shayla and Niranjan and everybody else that helped out there. So if we could just go to the auditor's report. I know it's a little small. You don't need to necessarily, I won't read the whole thing to you, but I just wanted to remind council about what the auditors are doing. So we are hired by council to conduct an audit of the county's financial statements. Auditors in Canada, in the middle of the page, there's a basis of opinion paragraph that states we have to follow Canadian generally accepted auditing standards in planning and performing audit of financial statements. So whether our firm is conducting audit of the county's financial statements, or another firm is, for example, conducting an audit of Shopify, public company, same set of standards, long to-do list of the auditor shall do this and shall do that. And just so you know, we are also audited by the CPA Alberta. Every 3 years they come by our office to make sure we're completing our files in accordance with those standards. So like I said again, our job is to plan and perform the audit and provide an opinion in our auditor's report. So at the top of the page, second paragraph, we're stating that the financial statements are in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. So those are the standards that local governments, most levels of government, hospitals, school boards, those types of organizations use as their financial reporting framework. Shopify would be international financial reporting standards. So anyway, this report is not something we make up. It's in the auditing standards. If you look back at last year's report, the only thing that would have changed is the two dates at the top. 2025 would have been 2024. So we call that a clean report. Audit went well. And like I said, as far as the auditor's report, we call that a clean opinion. So I will go, I will ask to go to the statement of financial position. So we would be on page 3 of the financial statements. So starting just at the top of the page there, I'll give you a few highlights and maybe just a few comments about what we do during the audit from 40,000 feet. Financial assets, top of the page, $62.9 million. Financial assets are either things that are items that are cash or will be cash in the near term. One of the most important areas there in any audit is receivables. So I won't ask, I won't get you guys to turn your page there, but I'll just make some comments on some of the things that are in the notes. So the good thing with receivables municipality is usually there isn't too much risk about collectability, other than in recent history, there's been some issues with some of the oil companies and so on. So one of the larger items that the county has in receivables is grant funding. The local LGFF and the CCBF, those 2025 allocations, 2.5 million, those are included in receivables. So, no issues collecting those. If you looked at the notes, you would see that tax receivables have gone up a little bit. There is one customer that is about $500,000 is on a payment plan, so that's why that's a little bit higher. And in addition to that, the county has also provided an allowance for potentially doubtful accounts, tax accounts, of $394,000. So that doesn't mean, that the county's not trying to collect them. There's just uncertainty regarding that collection and the timing of when those would be collected. So it's prudent to have an allowance to reduce those amounts to what management estimates to be the recoverable amount at this time. Other than that, the county also has various investments, and so we've confirmed those with the financial institution. There's some bonds and principal protected notes included in there, and so pretty straightforward from the audit standpoint, just to confirm those $24 million of investments. So that rounds out the $63 million of financial assets. When we look at liabilities, county had, middle of the page, $13.2 million of liabilities. And just working down from the top there, standard types of things in accounts payable. There's nothing unusual on the balance or the statement of financial position here at all. $4 million. That can really vary just depending on timing. County has various deferred revenue, middle of the page, $2.7 million. So deferred revenue is primarily grants that have been received or receivable that haven't been spent for, projects that they were identified for. So, things like the Canada Community Building Fund and other grants. Basically, money comes in, and when it gets spent on the eligible expenses, it would become revenue. So it sits in deferred revenue until that time. County also has long-term debt, so that totaled, where were we here, $4.8 million. There are some debentures with Alberta, province of Alberta, fixed-rate debentures. Those will be paid off in 2034. And then there's some solar panels. There was a lease for those that was entered into many years ago. Other than that, county also has some liabilities for asset retirement obligations and contaminated sites. So these are things where the county may have to remediate various items, and an estimate's been made of those potential liabilities. So total liabilities were $13.2 million. So when we take the financial assets, the top 62.9, less the total liabilities, that number is what's referred to as net financial assets, pretty much smack dab in the middle of the page there. So that would be what's left if the county collected all the receivables, sold the investments, and paid off all the liabilities. There would be $50 million in the bank at the end of December. So that's available to provide future services or, future assets, those types of things. Other than that, the county also has non-financial assets. So that's the biggest asset on any municipality's financial statements. You'll see there it's $186 million at the end of the year. So good things like roads, wastewater systems, sewer systems, vast majority of it, if you looked in the notes, was $122 million for roads, which is, pretty standard fare for a rural county. Additions this year, $7.5 million. And, the auditor is, mostly concerned with, we don't want to see things getting into the asset accounts that don't meet the definition of assets. So, no issues this year, but sometimes there are discussion points around those types of things. County also has inventories for consumption, so that's mostly gravel, $3.7 million. And those quantities are measured using GPS to take a little bit of the guesswork out of that. So total non-financial assets are $190 million. So, if you're thinking about your home finances, that's our house. Primarily, it's equity in bricks and mortar, and then the net financial assets is eventually going to be cash in the bank. So accumulated surplus, or the county's net accounting worth, is $240 million there at the bottom. So if we can go to the next page, I'll just say a few words about revenues and expenses. I'm not telling you what to do, but you might want to make that a little bigger and show half the page or something. But at the top of the page there, revenue from operating, you can see total budget was $33.2 million versus $33.9. Just a couple of comments there. You can see that investment income was a little bit less than budget. You know, it's conservative, so that's, you know, prudent. Don't want to overcook that budget. Government transfers, there's a couple things in there that were not budgeted for, $920,000 versus $567. So the local LGFF operating grant was about $110,000 more than what was budgeted for. And also there's a NERD grant, I forget what that stands, Northern Economic Regional Development, I think stands for, $95,000, that was not in the budget. Other than that, user fees, you can see that's a little bit more than budget. That's primarily some of the water and sewer and waste. So you did enter in an agreement with waste circular materials, so that added $50,000 to the revenue that wasn't planned for, and on down the list there. But, you know, basically that's where county ended up with approximately $650,000 more revenue than had been budgeted. Then we look at expenses. Down at the bottom of the expense category, you can see $33.4 million of actual expenses versus $28.8 million of budget. So just as a first comment, the county's budget does not include amortization of capital assets, and the actual numbers do, so that's about $10 million. So if you took that out of the actual column, you'd actually be, total would be about $23.4 million, and the budget was $28.8, so you're under budget by about $4 or $5 million there. And any of the major differences, like for example, up top of the expense categories, roads, 13.7 million versus 6.1 million. That's primarily, entirely amortization, $7 million. I'm not saying amortization is not important, but it's not included in the budget, so you need to remember that when you're looking at some of these categories. Same thing with admin and on down the list. The only other thing I was going to point out in the expenses, if you look at the firefighting budget, that's about $2.93 million. The actual was 1.2, so the county had budgeted for some fire trucks, and those were deemed to be the county assets, so those were capitalized instead of contributions being made through the operating budget. Other than that, you know, things are very similar to budget. So like I said, at the bottom, you'd have to kind of adjust the actual expenses for the amortization, but revenues less expenses from operating. From an accounting standpoint, there, about 3/4 way down the page, $489,691 operating surplus for the year. Further to that, the county has various other revenues there under other revenue. Primarily, the biggest one would be the grants for government transfers for capital. You can see that's $2.8 million. The budget was 5.1, so there was certain capital activities that didn't occur during the year, most notably some bridge work and some work for the Violet Grove wastewater treatment plant was less than budgeted, so that's why there's less grants as well. So at the bottom, third line from the bottom, you can see the total surplus for the year was $3.4 million. If I was just going to go to a couple other things here, I'm sorry, it's probably even more boring than usual since I'm not running the show there, but if we can just go to page 8 quickly.
Actually,
Schedule 1.
before we go there, I have a question.
Oh, sure.
If that's all right. So I'm back on page 4 under expenses. And you were talking about the amortization. Should we be budgeting for that so that we don't have the discrepancy that we see from the 28.8 million to the 33.4 million? Should we be budgeting for that, or?
Well, what we see is, I don't think, to budget for it is one thing, but you're probably not going to have a balanced budget then, because you're probably not going to raise taxes to cover all that. So,
Yeah, okay.
in some clients, they will put it in a financial statement budget, but I don't know if, it wouldn't hurt, but it definitely is not something I don't think that you're planning to raise taxes to fund, right? So
No.
that's, I think, why it's not included.
Okay, yeah, it's just, if the average Joe grabs a hold of this document, looks at it, they're gonna go, like, they're not gonna understand that. So is there a way to make a note there that is the amortization, that is due to amortization? I don't know, like, it's just, if somebody was to grab this off the street, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I guess we could add a note. I'm not sure where you'd put it. I mean, typically that's not something that is actually in the financial statements, but maybe we can talk to Colin afterwards and find a place to put something like to the effect that the expenses on that page do not include amortization in the budget column. Would that be sufficient?
Yes, that would be, thank you.
Okay, I will make a note here, and we will follow up with Colin and Shayla, find a spot for that. Is there any more questions on that?
No. I have a question.
Okay, so-
Oh, the other question I have, but Colin could probably answer it for me, is, Phil had talked, I think, on the previous page, and there was, some of the outstanding taxes in one particular company. Which company is it? And I think the other part of that question is, if I did hear correctly that they've entered into a payment plan, I have an idea which company it is, but I need that confirmation, and are they actually making the payments?
They are. So through the chair to Councillor Westland, that would be Base Element.
Okay, not who I thought it was.
No, and so
Okay.
we have entered to agreement, and they have been submitting payments.
They have been paying, okay, thank you. It's not actually, thank you for that clarification, it's not who I was thinking it was.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if I was able to say the name, so I was being careful. But yeah, they have been making payments. Okay, if we can go to page 8, just a couple comments there. So, if you look at the 2025 column on page 8, accumulated surplus balance is $239.8 million. I was just going to point out there that you can see that most of the equity, if I'm looking at the balance at the end of the year, at the bottom, $182 million of that is held in capital assets, and then there's a restricted surplus, which is the county's reserves. Those are disclosed in note 13, and as you know, those are either through the budget or council motion have been set aside for various projects. The only other thing I was going to point out on the financial statements, if we can go to the debt limits on, those are on page, sorry.
Can you just stay on page 8 for a minute?
Page 25, we could just take a quick look at the debt limits.
Sorry, Phil, just Reeve has a question on page. Sorry, Reeve?
Yeah, so just on the unrestricted and the restricted, are those actual dollars in the bank?
Well, yes, 20, so you've got $20 million. You could, basically, the county has $23.9 million in investments, so I believe that's primarily what those are used to be, those are funding those reserves. Maybe Colin has some further comments.
Yeah. I believe that Reeve, did you mention page 8?
Yes.
I believe he may be looking at the ones resulting from contributed assets. If we have, I'm sorry, Tina, I'm just going to overtake here. I will just provide some clarity there. Phil, I believe he's speaking to page 10.
Oh, I see.
No, I was speaking to page 8
Oh,
there,
it's page 8, sorry.
because you got 37
Yeah, I
million
thought
in
he
the
was referring
unrestricted.
to the $20 million there in column 2. Restricted surplus.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Both the unrestricted and the restricted.
Oh, yeah. Well, so the restricted, if you look at the statement of financial position, the cash and the investments total $58 million. So it's very close to those two numbers, roughly. So yeah, you could say at the end of this year, those were funded by cash. All right. right, so if there's nothing else on that, then just as far as debt limits on page 25, I was just going to mention that those are in accordance with disclosed in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. And the debt limits for the county are just over $50 million, the total debt limit, less the debt that's outstanding at the end of the year, so that leaves $46 million of debt limit available. So anyways, the point is, the county is well within its debt limits at the end of the year. So I will, that's all I'll say about the financial statements. So just a couple comments on the second last page of my presentation there regarding the audit findings report. So again, the audit went well. There's a few things just to report back to council. We did not discover any significant control deficiencies. So that would be instances where controls are not operating in a timely manner to correct, prevent, detect misstatements. The county has made some estimates, second bullet point there. No unusual accounting policies. We audit numbers, many municipalities. There's nothing here that's unusual compared to any of our other clients. But there's a couple estimates here, and I just laid those out there. Allowance for doubtful accounts, amortization of the assets, county estimates the life of those assets, sand and gravel measured by GPS, as I mentioned, so, we're not counting every little granule of gravel, and a few other estimates there that are, pretty standard items for municipal clients. Adjusted and unadjusted differences, there were a few adjustments during the audit. After those were made, there were no significant unadjusted differences. So, from time to time, there can be some unadjusted differences, and there usually are. It's just once, if they were significant, we would be disclosing those. And if they're, so that's all I'll say about that. So then, finally, we did not have any significant difficulties during the audit. So again, thanks to everybody there. Really, we are a little selfish when it comes to the audit. We want to be the center of attention, sort of, get answers, on a timely basis, get information, don't get the runaround, get wrong answers, those types of things. So really appreciate when that is the case, as it makes everybody's life easier. So overall, sorry again for if we can go to the last slide. Sorry again for the technical mix-up here, but I guess I would just reiterate that the county is still in good financial position. You got strong equity position and no issues with debt limits and so on, and the audit went well, so no major concerns on our part. So I can stop there and see if anybody has any questions.
Good job there. Either that or sleeping. Carol.
I have a question, because you went through that very, very quickly, and it's a lot to take in a short period of time.
You bet.
As we just got this draft prior to the meeting today. Just on your very last piece under financial instruments, there is a section that says credit risk, or the following risks that the county is exposed to. That's on page 23 of my document. I'm just wondering if you can tell me, under credit risk, it says the county is exposed to credit risk with respect to receivables. Could you maybe just elaborate a little bit on that piece, please, or on those risks in general?
Well, credit risk is just a risk that somebody may not pay the county. So, there's more risk in the oil and gas industry there, as it's noted in that first paragraph. Other than that, market risk is primarily due to the county has some principal protected notes in its investments that fluctuate based on market conditions. So that's what that relates to. And interest rate risk is just the fact that primarily interest revenue and interest expense can fluctuate based on interest rate changes. But most of the county's debt is actually, that risk is mitigated because the debentures are fixed rate. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much for that clarification.
Yeah, no, again, I'm sorry if it was a little bit hard to follow today, and if I went too fast, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that there were.
No, everybody's smiling.
Well, again, I am really very sorry. I don't know what happened here. But, you know, if you have questions that you didn't get answered and you think of them later, by all means, run those through Colin, and we can be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, well, thanks for that.
All right, well, I will let you go. I hope you all have a good day and enjoyed the 2 days of summer that we're going to have this year. So,
Okay,
take care.
take the rest of the day off.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
So we'll need a motion to accept the financial statements, I would assume, eh? As presented. Kara?
I move to approve the 2025 audited financial statements as presented.
Discussion? All those in favor? Alrighty. Where'd we leave off at? 17, the foundation. Take it away, Carol.
Good morning. Thank you, Reeve. I just want to do some clarification on the Brazeau Foundation, because in my travels over this last 6 months on council, I've realized that there's maybe some miscommunication and some pretty aligned ideas of who the Brazeau Foundation is and what they're actually responsible for. So the Brazeau Foundation is a housing management body. It was established back in 1973 under the Brazeau Seniors Foundation, but they renamed themselves back 10 years ago in 2016 to the Brazeau Foundation. So that's something that, like I said, I just want to make sure that the public is aware of, that's clear. It's a not-for-profit. It manages about 162 units. All the properties are owned by Alberta Social Housing Corporation, so the ASHC. The Shangri-La has 81 units in it, includes food and housekeeping and activities. Rents on all of them are based around income or annual tax assessment. We have 3 seniors apartments. They're self-contained. 3 seniors apartments, self-contained. There's no services there. Once again, that rent is geared around income. Those 3 are the Wishing Well with 42 units, Leisure Lee has 17 units, and Spruce View Court in Breton has 18 units. There's 4 community houses for families with children in Rocky Rapids. There is a 30% rent geared to income based on that. So the Brazeau Foundation requests municipal requisitions for the Shangri-La Lodge operation funding only. So when we see that municipal requisition on our tax rolls, that is what that is. They have not been raised since 2017. Annual fluctuations in that requisition are due to the changes in the provincial equalized assessments, which is established by the province of Alberta and was out of our control. The province assists with operational costs with the seniors self-contained and community housings to a number of 200,000 plus. So that's the province that's paying that. In 2025, the province of Alberta has added back to our community approximately $800,000 in investment in repairs. The Shangri-La Lodge, for example, the Lodge Assistance Program for Low-Income Seniors was $120,000 plus. The Lodge put some new flooring in for $70,000 plus. The Lodge also put in 2 new boilers at a cost of $90,000 plus. They did the repair on the Lodge for $200,000 plus on the roof repair, and they had to do a refit of a fire door in the Lodge at $100,000 plus. So that's all come from the province of Alberta into our community. The rental assistance program to assist families and individuals, that's $200,000 plus. The Wishing Well elevator upgrade was also done and repair at a cost of $55,000 plus. There's difference between the housing management body and what we now formed, which I believe Reeve sits on, the Rural Wealth Creation, which is a cooperative program. So when we look at what the Brazeau Foundation is looking to propose in regards to a new facility, and in reference to the letter that was sent through to Honorable Jason Nixon, which is in your agenda, that proposal is to build a new building to house some of our seniors. We have a waiting list of 70-plus people. That varies, and very, very often it doesn't ever go down because not too many people are moving back out of those locations, right? So unfortunately, that's the reality of it. So if we have 81 units in the Shangri-La Lodge and we got 70 people waiting to get in, that's not a very good turnover. So we do require some kind of housing facility. I know that, like I said, through the Rural Wealth Creation, they're looking at doing a housing cooperative, understanding that the Alberta Housing Management Body actually owns the buildings. We don't own the buildings in our county. We just operate them. So there is ways, apparently, and I have to do some more digging into that. So the Brazeau Foundation is looking to do that build. They've missed the deadline for this last set of grant funding. So we're hoping that they can be proposed to do that coming up here for the fall of 2026 when that opens again. And that was kind of why those letters of support were put out, or the request for letters of support, to see if we had the support there and what the opportunities were going forward before we spend a whole bunch of time and energy going through this again. But it is a need in our community, and so I think it's very important that we continue to go down that road. We have a meeting coming up. Our meetings are always timed the Thursday after the county meeting. So I will find out more on Thursday. I think we might be looking at revamping our scope a little bit, but I'm not sure. I'll find out more on Thursday. But I do know, like I said, that there is some talk about the Housing Cooperative Initiative, and then there's the talk of the Alberta Housing Management Body. And the difference is a housing cooperative is owned by the members, just like a condo association. They own their building, they get together, they decide where the money is going to be spent, and repairs are responsibility of them. In the Alberta Housing Management Body, the building is owned by the provincial government, and so all of that maintenance, which you can see has been a lot in our community in the last year, is paid by the Alberta government and not out of the pockets of the taxpayers, technically, in our community. It does come out of the taxpayers' dollars eventually, but not directly. So I just wanted to just kind of clarify that information in regards to what the Brazeau Foundation is. It is not just a seniors foundation, it is a housing management body, the actual housing management body of our community, so.
Can you have more than one housing entities in the community?
Is there more than one?
No, can you? Okay, so in other words, you've got the Brazeau Foundation. Can you have another housing association? Like,
I do not believe that is correct. I do not believe you can.
oh, okay.
Because that is allocated from the provincial government.
Okay, so I'm not
So
saying
the government of Alberta won't come in and say, oh, we got the Brazeau Foundation, let's set up another housing foundation, because we are the housing foundation representative for the Alberta government, so, no.
Glenn?
Just a question then, so the town of Drayton Valley has low-income apartments behind the post office. Is that part of the Brazeau Seniors or Brazeau Foundations then? That's a low-income facility as well. So is that what you guys control as well?
No. There was a time when those apartments were operated by the Brazeau Foundation, and the town of Drayton Valley, I believe, had made a motion to take over the ownership and the operatorship of those apartment buildings, and had requested that they didn't want the Brazeau Foundation to be the guardian of that. And so the town of Drayton Valley is still, those are under the town of Drayton Valley directly. I do understand that there is some talk that perhaps maybe they would like the Brazeau Foundation to resume that responsibility again. But with that comes the fact, once again, to understand that the Brazeau Foundation is just an operatorship. They are not the asset holder of the building. So Brazeau Foundation's buildings are all owned by the government of Alberta. The town owns those buildings. So they would have a mortgage on that. There would have to be some transfer over, and I understand they need some maintenance and some repairs. So it might be up for discussion, but no, we are not involved in those ones. The town decided to take those on themselves. or the Brazeau Foundation's not.
Hey, one more question. Have you guys secured the land that the Debbie land's in, I guess? Have you got a parcel there to start construction on then?
Yes and no.
Oh.
So, we did the environmental assessment on that piece that is to the the west of the Debbie lands. And got that all cleared, went to the town of Drayton Valley. The town had made a motion to approve that, and then the town went through some changes in their structure, and I believe it's kind of sitting in a holding pattern right now until they get maybe perhaps a CA or something. So it's kind of in a holding pattern, but yes, they have allocated those lands.
The Derby lands, or whatever they call them.
Debbie.
Huh?
Debbie.
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 Oh, Debbie, okay. Any questions? Okay, good job, Carol. Have you got any Pemberley synergy, Carol?
Sure, I'll continue on in that. Our last meeting was March 26th. We had a presentation from Caroline Charbonneau from Alberta Wildfire, and she gave us an Alberta Wildfire spring update. Some interesting pieces that she just kind of did a very, very basic overview of what has happened and where we're going. She said the number of fires has not increased. I find that interesting because they've been bigger and taken up more hectares, but the actual number of fires has not increased from year to year. 70% of them are human related. There's some very interesting criteria what goes around human related, but and 30% are based off lightning strikes. We did have our fourth year, our biggest fire season with Slave Lake, Fort McMurray, High Level, Edson and Alberta, and more hectares have been burnt and whatnot, but there has been a lot of fires. But anyway, she did a great job. She talked about putting some more funding into crews that could be hoisted down into areas that they needed to put firefighters into versus using rappelling crews. So they're trying to remove the rappelling crews and hoist them in and out instead. It's just a little safer. And other than that, there's not much on the side of Alberta Wildfire. There was also a small presentation done from Adam Jensen with Alberta Health Inspector. He was just kind of talking about the environmental impacts of flooding and remediation to that in regards to water wells and the testing and the trace metals that might be in those water wells after a fire, except, you know, those types of questions. He did talk a little bit off topic about some situations within the town of Drayton Valley in regards to housing of some of our unhoused and the situations that have come into place and the vulnerability of some of our unhoused residents that might be in temporary housing that's not suitable for humans. So he did talk about how to do that, and he also talked a little bit about emergency reception areas through emergency situations, and how we can do better to set those up. The only other thing that came up is we did talk about the property tax accountability strategy and the mature asset strategy. I was pretty excited because I understood that we were going to be doing something a little bit forward, but apparently those are still in the discussion mode, and there really has not been any legislation passed on that. And, which could correct me if I'm wrong on that. And we did talk a little bit about the tower, when we talk about tower setbacks, that really falls under the land use, the LUB at the municipal level. And so if when we're talking about communication towers, that really falls on our hands. So we can put that into place. And that's pretty much it for the Synergy meeting. Our next meeting will be next month.
Okay, next one, Ag Service Board.
All right.
Okay.
So we actually had a really good meeting, cleaned some stuff up. We did make a motion to have all of ASB members attend the weed school this year. So we are hosting that in our county, which is really awesome. So it's just a school that teaches all of our weed inspectors how to identify and the process for that. So we felt it would be good for our ASB members to attend that so that we have an idea on kind of what we're doing with that going forward. That'll be May 13th. Of course, we did have a small discussion about the strychnine emergency use. And we're, coming into summer, we're gonna start, getting in our no spray programs and kind of looking at how that's gonna go coming forward. We also did have a discussion about cleaning up our Predator Act. I'll give you the exact number or the exact name of that, but they are going to be bringing that forward to council once they go through that. So the Predator Control Policy. So we just wanted to kind of clean that up and make it a little bit more streamlined. It hasn't really been reviewed in a long time, so they'll be our ag fieldmen will be going through that and bringing that up to council. And then a big thing with our provincial coming up, I mean, it's going to be a little bit, but we need to get our advocacy work done. So we have been doing a lot of discussions on that going forward and kind of what we feel is lacking, we would like to see done. So a lot of work behind the scenes, and going forward, hopefully we'll see some good work.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. You got a question, Kara?
Yeah, I do. Before we take a break, if that's okay. The weed, you perked my interest in that actually, because all at council, for even those that are you or new, you haven't had a summer yet. I'd say that's our number 2 phone calls. Number 1 is road complaints, second is weed complaints. Would there be an appetite for all at council to be able to get the same education?
Let me go talk to Danya,
Okay.
our ag fieldman, and see. It was a little bit of a stretch to get ASB involved, only
Okay.
because, how do I say this? It's made for people doing the inspections. So there is like a lot of like classwork and group work and stuff. So they didn't, even
Yeah.
having ASB, they were like, we don't want to muddy the waters too much, but I can definitely put it forward because I think it is a lot of valuable information. I will bring that to our ag fieldman and then get her to send an email out and see what we can do.
Okay.
Who are we missing? No, Shane. All right, I'll call the meeting back to order. It's public input right now, so address all your questions through the chair to me. Be respectful of both staff and the elected officials, and I'll just open it up. If you're online, you're just going to have to jump in and let us know who it is that's online. So, the floor is open
Hello?
right now. All right, I'll call the meeting back to order. It's public input right now.
Arnold Schmidt here.
Address all your questions through the chair to me. Be respectful of both staff. We just got some feedback coming from somewhere. Try to.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Council Arnold Schmidt here. How are you guys today?
This is Arnold?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been doing a bunch of trying to write an email to you, to the council, and to all the members, but I just can't seem to figure out my stupid tablet how to get, it just doesn't work for me. I'm not technically inclined for this. So, there's a few issues I have, mostly financial. I went to court on the 25th, and it was a $675 court bill, and now the lawyers from the county want that, and I don't have the money right now. And for foreseeing all the things that I need to do, I just will not have enough money to complete the task on my property by the set date, and that is the end of May. So I was trying to be proactive. I tried to ask the judge to the end of June, but she wouldn't have it. So that's the way I am now. Like I said, there was many unforeseen things that I ran into with my truck, having the tires rotated, and then having the transmission go down on me like 7 kilometers later, and then my furnace going, and then the plumber from Drayton Valley who came out and lied his ass off to me and didn't complete the job, and then Wilma's health, driving her to the hospital and all that stuff. It just doesn't stop. And I foresaw this to certain extents that I have to have enough budgeting to complete the task. And I'm just letting the council know that I will not be able to achieve these goals because I'm dependent on other workers and the weather. So that's where it's at now, and I'm looking for direction. If there's some way I can sit down with the council or a group of people to discuss the situation and map out a plan of attack, I'm willing. But the bylaws just do not include the outside forces, the uncontrollable forces. The weather, the economy, the politics, they don't include that. So anyway, that's where I am now. And I just try to maintain a sense of financial security and manage my debts, my bills, as everybody does. But like we've seen before, like last time we was there at the meeting, all we need is one more floor crosser, and then the Liberals will have rain, and the next day it happened. So here we are, another 3.5 years of more dictatorship. So anyway, I leave it up to you guys. I will try to get my skill level built up to where I can email each of you the situation so it's on record, and I will plug along. Thank you very much, and I'm still looking for your support on that financial aid assistance program that I've offered to you twice. And I figure if that would work, then we could all be smiling. And that's what I'm saying now. Thank you, councilors, for listening.
Okay. Thanks, Arnold. I believe that because it's in the court system now, there's nothing that we can actually do right now. It's strictly in the courts to deal with it from that side of things there. So I understand the plight that you're in, and you know, I really sympathize with the hardship that's you know, befallen over you, and hopefully things will get better for you, Arnold.
Well, I appreciate that, Reeve, but the point is the courts do not continue to include the outside uncontrollable forces. They don't. And so if I have to go back to court and spend another money on court fees and whatever, then it just delays the project even more.
I understand your situation, Arnold.
Okay, so is there any way that the county can sit down with me and remedy a few things?
Not that's on the books right now, so unless there's something else administration knows, I think it's just because it's in the courts, there's not much we can do, Arnold.
Okay, well then I'm just going to be like all the people in Fort McMurray back there in 2015, just walk into the bank and hand over the keys.
All right, Arnold, we're going to see if there's anybody else that's got any public input. Anybody else?
Okay, sir.
Thanks, Arnold.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else online? Nobody in the stands. So we'll come out of the come out of this session. Pardon me? It's really hard to hear. Like from here, I have to shut my mic off. All right, so number 20, Yellowhead Regional Library Board. Aria, you got 3 there in a row. You can just go from one to the next.
I plan to, thank you. So I missed YRL in March, just the regular board meeting, because I was at ASB conference, unfortunately. But I did have a meeting just last week for executive committee. We just went through some policy revisions. There was discussions on Bill 28 and what it means for public libraries. What else? YRL Discovery Day is coming up April 25th, so this Saturday. That's in Spruce Grove. Let me just see. I'm just going to pull it up, but it's essentially just a tour. It's kind of a day of celebration, and just to give people the opportunity to see what YRL is all about and what they do. So that'll be good. And then what's next? The Drayton Valley Library Board. We just had a meeting last week as well. So we've just hired 2 full-time programmers, so that's really exciting. Before they only had 1, so we found it was within the budget to hire 2. So I am hoping that that's really beneficial to the programs and the way that they operate, so that it's not just falling on one person. I think that's really exciting. We're also working on a strat plan. We still have 1 board vacancy, kind of. I think technically still 2, but there was 2 openings and 1, there's been an applicant for 1, but the town has to approve it first, so I think that's just a bit slow moving, but we met with her last week in the meeting, so that seemed promising. So I'm just gonna say that we have 1 opening. If anyone has anyone that might be interested. We're in discussions with the town to put in a new accessible door that leads into the library. Currently, it's just a really heavy wooden door with a round handle that people can't, like seniors or kids, it's just not the most accessible. So we're hoping that that's going to be an option with the town, that they can put that in. We've ordered new wipeable computer chairs, so those are coming. Before they were fabric, so not ideal. Also, we're needing new book carts, and the library manager looked into ordering them. They were coming from Toronto. I think shipping alone was $500. So I suggested that maybe we look into somebody locally crafting them. So again, if anyone has any leads for that, send them my way. It would be like a library cart that would need to be fabricated, so like out of steel or whatever. So yeah, because the price for a regular, like that you order from these school stores or whatever, they're just outrageous, and the shipping alone was crazy. So yeah, and then moving on to FCSS, I had a meeting a couple weeks ago with them. We had a presentation from Men's Shed, which was really good. We give away 3 spring grants, 1 to the library, the summer reading program, 1 to Men's Shed, and 1 to the Brazeau Healthy Community Coalition for poverty reduction. So there was 3 grants that were submitted, and we were able to give to all 3, so that was good. And then upcoming, sometime in the next few months, we're having a tour of the facilities that FCSS supports, so I'm also looking forward to that. And that's all for me.
I have a question. So I guess on Bill 28, that just means you guys will have to do something with the graphic novels and stuff, I'm assuming? The pornographic stuff has to be put away from kids and somehow dealt with, right?
I think that's what the discussions are about. It's a little bit unclear what the expectations are. So the YRL has crafted a list. I think there was like 60 plus questions to take to the provincial government to just see like what are the expectations, and that I guess what they're expecting of the public libraries. Like, does it need to be behind lock and key? Does it need to be in a separate area behind a curtain? You know, like, so I think that at this point it's kind of unclear what the steps forward are, but there are lots of discussions around that, and yeah, there's been lots of questions crafted directed at the provincial government to kind of get some of that clarity, exactly what they're wanting that to look like going forward for the public libraries, but a lot of logistical issues that need to be addressed with that, for sure.
Thank you. On FCSS, I also had a question. I had an email from a lady that's been scammed recently. Her bank account was scammed, her credit card. I know FCSS used to have little sessions for seniors. Are they still going on? Is there some way to get notified if another session comes up?
Yeah, I
Or
can
keep us in mind.
Yeah,
Because I would definitely direct her to one of those. I think they go to the seniors' homes to do the sessions, right? And
Yeah.
they're free, but
Yeah, I'll look into that and
Thank
I'll
you.
let you know.
No, me. Me first. All right, so Eagle Point, Blue Rapids, we had a meeting last night. I have not unpacked that yet for council. Our strategic plan is looking in fine shape, and I will share that with you if you're interested in it. So just let me know if you want to see that, and I'll share that with you. As far as FCSS Breton is concerned, Breton FCS helps individuals with their income tax, and this year they have completed 73 income tax returns, helped residents with that. Women's Wellness Day was held in April, and they had 55 participants, also very successful. Social media campaign has begun for Volunteer Appreciation Week. Our summer youth engagement program is looking busy and promising, July and August. And cooking camps and a whole bunch of fun things going on there, bike rodeo, leadership challenge, Girls' Day, Sewing Day, lots of fun stuff with that. Also working with Warburg FCSS and the County Wetaskiwin FCS to hold seniors wellness workshops in June. Also, FCSS Breton will be co-sponsoring with the Village of Breton kids activities during Canada Day in Breton. Lots of fun. Community Parenting Coalition is looking at holding a kindergarten readiness workshop in Breton in June. And also, Deanne Young is a provincial planning committee director and will be holding the annual learning event in Edmonton next week. It looks like 81 participants across the province. So an active FCSS, and again, thanks to Deanne and all those people who are involved there.
Thank you. The Art Center's met a couple times since our last update. The shows are booked for 2026-2027 season. There'll be 9 shows. They're looking to participate in the street party in August as well as the Canada Day Parade. It was noted that the next casino is not until Q1 of 2028, so again, it further adds to the disparity of rural nonprofits over our urban nonprofits. That's crazy that they have to wait that long, plus we don't get near the amount of funding back. The expansion fundraising committee is putting together a sponsorship package and busy working on fundraising ideas. EPAC will be celebrating, and this is hard to believe, but 20 years next year in 2027. So they are looking at what we're going to do to celebrate in the community for 20 years. That's incredible. They are working on a business plan as well as holding meetings with Travel Alberta, help build those business plans, as well as sponsorship and anything that Travel Alberta can help with. They continue to review policies. Every meeting we have, we usually go between 2 and 4 policies just to review everything and just keep everything up to date and timely. And I think that's it.
A
And
question on that.
Yeah.
So has that committee ever thought about like partnering with a restaurant nearby so when you buy tickets,
Yep.
you actually get to have a buffet dinner across the street before?
Yeah, they try time to time. I do know OCT donates, so when they bring a performance in, OCT donates, I believe it's like the kind of the hors d'oeuvres and the setup, as well as 3 nights does the dinner too as well. So they do have some partnerships in place already, but I think they're always looking for expanding that. I do know that there's an establishment right across the road, and any opportunities to piggyback and partner is 100% there.
What's called the delayed grazing to create some safety, I guess, for the wildlife that might be having, nesting grounds and things like that in the springtime. So you delay your grazing till July 15th. Anyway, they're looking at that program. There's been some interest with some people in that. As far as the Warburg seed cleaning, we had a meeting the other night. They're constantly always looking at upgrading, and really they've done quite an amazing job there at the Warburg seed cleaning. For the tight little area they have, they got like 50, granaries there in that tight little space, and they use every inch. They are looking at upgrading the overall leg system, so that'll be a big project, but they don't have the money in the bank right now for that. Technology and innovation, we haven't had a meeting for a while there. We should actually probably get one started up there again. Mayor's Task Force, we haven't had a meeting since last month. Pardon me? Yesterday. Well, it's not in my calendar again. On the 20th. Well, somehow the connection isn't being made to my computer here. I'll have to see if they can. Are they sending them to you, Tina? Well, there may be something wrong. Okay, we're on to meeting dates.
If
Horse
I-
only parade.
Sorry, if I may.
Oh, we need a motion to approve the reports? Maria?
We missed Kara and the warehouser.
Oh, I thought,
Last meeting, we did have, I'm trying to think, it was a few weeks ago, it was extremely technical. So it's hard to, I can send you the minutes if you want, but they're about 300 pages long. It was very technical, so they're starting now. The next couple of meetings will be quite technical. A lot of it, they do a great job of explaining it to us. I'm there, and there's a number of other stakeholders around the table that they have to take a lot of time to explain. And it's actually quite interesting. There's some of the studies, and they don't actually release all of their study information because there's actually a lot of good stuff in there, but they pay for it, so. But anyways, yeah, it was very technical, so I apologize. There's not much to report other than things are working away and they're working through their process.
okay, should have a motion to approve all the reports.
I
Kara?
move to receive all the council reports for information.
Discussion, all those in favor? Okay, carried unanimous. We are on meeting dates. Huh? You got a horse for everybody?
Reeve,
Yes.
we skipped over 13C to go to 14.
She did it at the same time.
Oh, so we don't need to, we could, okay.
Dallas says he's got a horse for everybody if they want to go in the parade.
So I guess it's here, do we want to participate, and if we do, how do we? Because I don't think the majority of us don't have horses, but do we have any connections? I'm looking at you, Shane.
I was gonna say, like, I had sent that email out. If there is interest, I can reach out to some people that I know, and if there is, because I have a horse too, but I don't want to ride it in the parade because I'll die. Just straight up. But we can, if you want, I can reach out if there's interest in it. I can reach out and see if there's like a wagon we can take if there is.
I think that's a great idea, Shane.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I come up with them sometimes. Do will we need a motion then for that?
Yeah, it is a beach.
Probably coming from council's public relations budget. How much does a wagon cost you?
I don't know. I'd have to
Well,
look-
not a new one.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it. I'm not actually sure, to be totally honest with
Because
you.
the problem is we don't have another council meeting,
Yeah.
and this is May 2nd, so, can you just maybe, how do we wanna do this? Rudy, what's your advice? Like, if we say up to a certain amount?
Probably, and then we can put it together through email and be ratified at the next council meeting.
Okay.
I would also suspect we can't throw or hand out anything with horses at the parade, so that might take this part
I
out.
would probably not do that.
Yeah, I'm
whipping
assuming,
things around
yeah, I don't know what the
horses.
rules are, but. I think it's smiling and waving.
Yeah.
So before we go to planning, who plans to attend? May 2nd. Great. So before we do all this planning, who actually can go? So raise your hands if you can go. Okay. Okay. I'll be 50-50. I've got hockey and Olds that day, apparently. So depending on what time it's at.
We can plan for, like, in
I'm
terms
assuming it's-
of like a wagon, we'll just plan for everybody.
Okay.
And
Well, I
then-
just wanted to make sure there was more than 2 people doing
Yeah.
it, so.
A wagon. Just don't fall off the wagon.
Yeah, we're gonna go on a way. Oh, Bart, it's horses only. You have to be, you can't walk and you can't put a vehicle in. It has to be, it's horse. Oh, you can walk? Oh, yes, you can walk. Horse only parade.
Yeah. If we can't get a wagon, then we can walk.
Then we can walk, okay. Walkie, okay. So if we can't get the wagon, then we'll walk. I will coordinate with me, because I know Melanie, so I'll let her know that we're gonna participate, it's just we're not sure yet.
Okay.
She might have a lead too on some horses.
I'll start looking at
Okay.
horses, or wagons, not
I
horses.
like it. I move authorize council's attendance at the horse-only parade in Drake Valley on May 2nd, and up to, should we leave that part out and just ratify the cost at the next council meeting? Oh, gosh, no.
No, I think leave that out. and
Cost
we'll-
out, okay. And then
yeah.
just send it through email, and then we can say yea or nay, and then ratify it in the next, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, carried unanimous. Slow pitch.
I'll do that.
Glenn?
I move to authorize council's attendance to the Drayton Valley District Slow Pitch Grand Opening Barbecue, April 23rd, 2026, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. We had that one addition here. Oh, okay. So we need somebody to make a motion to go in close for the following 6 items. Carol?
I move to go into closed session for the following, for the 6 items listed on the agenda at 11:30.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Chamber to chamber. Chamber squared. Huh?
I move to direct administration to renew the lease agreement for the Lindale Rodeo Grounds with the Junior Rodeo and High School Rodeo Association for another 5-year term beginning in 2027.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous.
Move that Brazeau County Council receive 2027 Pitaquay Campground lease tender for details for information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous.
I move to direct administration to confirm the current status of the operations of Wiley West Campground.
Discussion?
Oh, missed one.
All those in favor?
You moved the screen on in between.
I move that council receive the administrative update on animal control for information, and further that the item be added to the next joint council meeting agenda.
Discussion? All those in favor? Glenn?
I move the council,
Just hang on, if you're
Sorry.
making the one for the ownership, you should have the tax roll number. Not just proposed property.
Right. At the legal from the agenda?
But you should still have, because this is going to, you should have the tax roll number.
Can I do one while we wait? Am I
Go
good?
ahead, Glenn. Or Shane?
I move that council receives the administrative update for information and further directs administration to investigate further actions through county legal counsel.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Are we all done?
I move the council direct administration to proceed with action to assume ownership and demolition of roll number 003226.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous.
I move adjournment.
All those in favor? Carried unanimous.